My girlfriend wants to kill me. Season 2, Episode 1. There I was, sitting in the dark room, with a single beam of light beaming down upon me, as Detective Jackson and his fellow detectives badgered me with question after question regarding the murders that they were falsely accusing me of committing. My head was spinning from the suffocating sea of his words. It had been more than 24 hours, and I could not stand it any longer. Let me out of here. I killed no one, damn it, I yelled in anger. Detective Jackson was mute, except for his narrowing eyes that he let speak instead. "Oh, you killed them all right," he said with confidence. "Where is your proof?" I fired back. Then he left the spotlight for a moment, then returned with a plastic bag with a label that bore the word evidence. And inside of that bag was my gun. "What are you doing with my gun?" I asked, my eyes squinting and teeth grinding. "Yes, it is your gun. The same gun you used to shoot my partner Detective Newman in the head with, taking his life, then dumping his cold, lifeless body into the cold waters of the lake. Not very smart putting it back in your glove compartment, and with your fingerprints all over it." "This is not true. My gun was missing when I went back for it. Someone must have stolen it from my car, then killed Detective Newman, then placed it back in my glove compartment, trying to frame me. And the only person that could be is Crazy Mary." The detective was silent. His only reaction was a mischievous smile that stretched broadly across his face. "That's your word against hers, isn't it?" he said with a snort. "And what's your other evidence?" I asked. "As for your Uncle James, well, you threatened to kill him, as you openly admitted to doing. Then he winds up dead. Coincidence or premeditated murder?" "I vote premeditated," said a female detective, casting her vote. "I told you, I only said that out of anger." "Sure you did," he said doubtfully. "Crazy Mary killed him too, just like she murdered everyone else." "Yeah, sure, Mr. Baker. Just keep blaming it all on Mary," he said. "But why did he address her by her first name, I wondered." "And your proof of me killing the cashier?" I asked. Then he held up the same cell phone I had found in the trunk of my car on that night. "Does this look familiar?" "Yes, it is the cell that was in the trunk of my car on the night those two hooded people came after me and shot me. It's the cell that Crazy Mary called me on. This cell phone belongs to no other than the cashier, and your fingerprints are all over it. How did you get her cell phone?" "I just fucking told you, goddammit," I yelled. "Watch your tone. May I remind you, I am the law," he said arrogantly. "All you have to do is trace any calls to that cell phone, and you will see that Crazy Mary called me. We did. There was no such calls made from Miss Slaughter. The only calls were from an anonymous call. That could have been anyone. Why are you so set on always defending her? I am only upholding the law. And where is your proof that I killed my own girlfriend, Samantha? Let's see what fabricated story you can come up with this time. Then he smiled at me as he held up another plastic bag. But this time, there was a large, familiar-looking blood-stained knife. And what the hell is that? I asked. It's your knife, Mr. Baker. We found it near the headless body of your girlfriend, Samantha. The same knife you used to cut her eyes out with. The same knife you used to sever her head. This knife has your fingerprints all over it. That is the knife I bought my Uncle James as a Christmas gift when I was out shopping for gifts. When Crazy Mary was stalking me, I accidentally dropped them on the ground when I was trying to get away from her. Obviously, she picked it up, used it to kill Samantha with, and left it near her body to frame me. I said it once, and I'll say it again. Mary Slaughter is a dark and twisted demon of a woman. You have excuses for everything, don't you? Well, you can tell it to the judge when you are on trial for multiple murders. You are facing the death sentence by lethal injection, Mr. Baker. Meanwhile, Misty had just arrived at the office of Chandler Sharp, her private investigator friend in New York, who had the evidence against Crazy Mary. Misty entered his office in a panic. Chandler, I need that evidence right away. They have arrested David for the murders that Crazy Mary has committed. Here is the evidence, Misty. You might want to have a seat for this. As she sat down at his desk, he slowly turned his laptop toward her. The look of shock came over her face, and she began to tremble. "Oh my God," she said breathlessly.